from section 3.3, we create the line of best fit for the golf dataset. The table of that I do not currently have up on this slide, but I'll be showing that data in a moment. This dataset describes the club head speed in miles per hour of 8 golfers and the distance yards that the golf ball traveled. We want to determine if the club head speed and the distance are linearly associated, and we're going to use an alpha of 5% in order to do so. So we first want the hypothesis statements for these. The null hypothesis is going to be that the slope is equal to 0, or that there's no linear association. No linear, that's a better. No, let me erase that and do that again. And that does not want to erase nicely. Alrighty. No linear association. The alternative is that beta is not equal to 0. That being, there is a linear association. Okay, and I have the data set open here. And the last time that we looked at this data set, we had used the linist function on Excel. But this time, since we want all of that additional information, we are going to go to data analysis, hit regression, and hit OK. The y values is this entire distance column. The x values will be this entire club head speed column. Again, we have the labels in there in the first row, so I'm going to keep that there. And I want all the other fun stuff. So we'll hit OK. And let me first move these plots out of the way so we can see them all nice and fancy. Based upon this, we have a t-stat right here, based upon that slope, and its associated p-value. So t-stat and p-value. Those are the ones that we need to report along with this. The coefficient, the value of the intercept and the club head speed are the same as what we saw previously. So if we want to physically write out this equation, let me write that up here. This would be that y hat was equal to negative 55.7966 plus 3.1661x. Okay, so we had that t statistic being 6.67, and the p-value, as we saw on there, was equal to 0.0005, right, as we saw on here for the t-stat and the p-value. That particular p-value of 0.00005, that's less than 5%, which will mean that we can reject the null hypothesis and claim there is indeed an association. We could see that this normal probability plot, mind you, it's not perfect, right? We have a couple of data points not completely in a straight line. That's alright, because the t-statistic itself is still usable despite minor differences in normality. We could see on our club head speed line fit plot that, these orange boxes, they do a relatively good job of approximating that, right? Again, it's not in a perfect line. There's a couple of data points that are a little bit off. But as you can see, though, based upon this line, it fits it pretty well. Likewise, this residual plot right here, we have 2 data points pretty close to that x-axis. And then we have, 3 up here, 2 down here. Again, there's a little bit of variation. Again, it's not perfect. Definitely not perfect. But it's pretty close, right? Again, we have this one data point over here that doesn't really have an opposite data point attached to it. We could change this to a histogram. Again, right-click in this, going on to change chart type, go to statistical and hit histogram. This gives us 2 bars, which is pretty not sufficient. I'm going to left-click this data and just hit in the upper left-hand corner here to get my formatting in here. I'm going to choose for number of bins. Let's use 5. This gives us this, which is, doesn't really give us much of a shape. I could change this to 10, and once again, doesn't really give that particularly nice of a shape. We could use 15. This would make it look at least slightly normal, but we have 2 here, 2 peaks, so that's really not that good. We could use 20. It's still just the same as that thing, and anything above that, let's do 30. It's just going to extend the range and not really impact the shape too much. So it's not normal per se, but again, since this I'm just going to change this back to scatter plot. But because we're using the two-sided alternative, despite the fact this is not perfectly normal, we could certainly we could certainly just still use the test, since we do have that simple random sample for this. So based upon that p-value being well less than 5%, right, the conclusion that we can make for this, and let me give myself some room to, oh boy, not that, okay, let me fix this very quickly. The joys of live taping. Alright, so to interpret the result of this would be at the 5% level of significance, we have evidence to suggest that the slope is non-zero, which is what that alternative is. Or another way that we could say it to give it slightly more of a description, at the 5% level of significance, we have evidence to suggest that there is a linear association between club head, this is going to go to another line, club head speed and distance, which is indeed what we showed inside of this particular example.